The mountain pine beetle is a type of bark beetle that feeds on pine trees. These beetles are native to North America, and they have been causing a lot of destruction to the forests in recent years. The mountain pine beetle was first discovered in the Rocky Mountains by a Canadian entomologist named J.B. Curran in 1904. It was not until the 1960s that it became a problem for pine trees because of their population explosion. This has caused them to spread throughout the Rocky Mountains and into British Columbia and Alberta, Canada, as well as parts of Idaho, Montana, Washington State, Oregon, California, and Colorado in America. In British Columbia alone, there are over 2 million hectares affected by mountain pine beetles. This invasive insect has killed millions of acres of trees and has contributed to the decline of many species of wildlife. This video will discuss how nature hates the mountain pine beetle more than you, how we got here, the history behind the mountain pine beetle infestation. In Western North America, a recent outbreak of the mountain pine beetle and its microbial associates has affected wide areas of lodgepole pine forest, including more than 160,000 kilometers of forest in British Columbia. The outbreak in the Rocky Mountain National Park in Colorado began in 1996 and has caused the destruction of millions of acres of ponderosa and lodgepole pine trees. At the peak of the outbreak in 2009, over 16,000 kilometers were affected. The outbreak then declined due to better environmental conditions and the fact that many vulnerable trees had been already destroyed. Mountain pine beetles inhabit ponderosa, whitebark, lodgepole, Scots, jack, and limber pine trees. Normally, these insects play an important role in the life of a forest, attacking old or weakened trees and speeding development of a younger forest. However, unusually hot, dry summers and mild winters in 2004 to 2007 throughout the United States and Canada, along with forests filled with mature lodgepole pine, led to an unprecedented epidemic. The outbreak may have been the largest forest insect blight seen in North America since European colonization. Monoculture replanting and a century of forest fire suppression have contributed to the size and severity of the outbreak, and the outbreak itself may, with similar infestations, have significant effects on the capability of northern forests to remove greenhouse gases from the atmosphere. Because of its impact on forestry, the transcriptome and the genome of the beetle have been sequenced. It was the second beetle genome to be sequenced. Tree infestations. Mountain pine beetles affect pine trees by laying eggs under the bark. The beetles introduce blue stain fungus into the sapwood that prevents the tree from repelling and killing the attacking beetles with tree pitch flow. The fungus also blocks water and nutrient transport within the tree. On the tree exterior, this results in popcorn-shaped masses of resin, called pitch tubes, where the beetles have entered. The joint action of larval feeding and fungal colonization kills the host tree within a few weeks of successful attack. The fungus and feeding by the larvae girdles the tree, cutting off the flow of water and nutrients. In recent years, drought conditions have further weakened trees, making them more vulnerable and unable to defend against attack. When the tree is first attacked, it remains green. Usually within a year of attack, the needles will have turned red. This means the tree is dying or dead, and the beetles have moved to another tree. In 3 to 4 years after the attack, very little foliage is left, so the trees appear gray. As beetle populations increase or more trees become stressed because of drought or other causes, the population may quickly increase and spread. Healthy trees are then attacked, and huge areas of mature pine stands may be threatened or killed. Warm summers and mild winters play a role in both insect survival and the continuation and intensification of an outbreak. Adverse weather conditions, such as winter lows of -40 degrees Celsius, can reduce the beetle populations and slow the spread, but the insects can recover quickly and resume their attack on otherwise healthy forests. Life cycle. Beetles develop through 4 stages: egg, larva, pupa, and adult. Except for a few days during the summer when adults emerge from brood trees and fly to attack new host trees, all life stages are spent beneath the bark. In low elevation stands and in warm years, mountain pine beetles require 1 year to complete a generation. At high elevations, where summers are typically cooler, life cycles may vary from 1 to 2 years. Female beetles initiate attacks. As they chew into the inner bark and phloem, pheromones are released, attracting male and female beetles to the same tree. The attacking beetles produce more pheromones, resulting in a mass attack that overcomes the tree's defenses and results in attacks on adjacent trees. Natural predators of the mountain pine beetle include certain birds, particularly woodpeckers, and various insects. Management techniques. Management techniques include harvesting at the leading edges of what is known as green attack, as well as other techniques that can be used to manage infestations on a smaller scale, including 1. Pheromone baiting, which is luring beetles into trees baited with a synthetic hormone that mimics the scent of a female beetle. Beetles can then be contained in a single area, where they can more easily be destroyed. 2. Sanitation harvesting, removing single infested trees to control the spread of beetle populations to other areas. 3. Snip and skid, removing groups of infested trees scattered over a large area. 4. Controlled or mosaic, burning an area where infested trees are concentrated to reduce high beetle infestations in the area or to help reduce the fire hazard in an area. Controlling wildfires has significantly increased since the 1980s and 90s due to firefighting technology. 5. Fall and burn, cutting, felling, and burning beetle-infested trees to prevent the spread of beetle populations to other areas. This is usually done in winter to reduce the risk of starting forest fires. 6. Pesticides. Biopesticides such as chitosan have been tested for protection against the mountain pine beetle, and pesticides such as carbaryl, permethrin, and bifenthrin are used for smaller area applications. The concept of natural plant defense holds hope for eliminating pine beetle infestation. Beneficial microbial solutions are being researched and developed that work with the plant to activate and enhance its resistance mechanisms against insects and disease. The U.S. Forest Service tested chitosan, a biopesticide, to pre-arm pine trees to defend themselves against MPB. The U.S. Forest Service results show colloidal chitosan elicited a 40% increase in pine resin in southern pine trees. 1 milliliter chitosan per 10 gallons water was applied to the ground area within the drip ring of loblolly pine trees. The application was repeated 3 times from May through September in 2008. The chitosan was responsible for eliciting natural defense responses of increased resin pitch-outs, with the ability to destroy 37% of the pine beetle eggs. Dr. Jim Linden, microbiologist, Colorado State University, stated the chitosan increased resin pitch-outs to push the mountain pine beetle out of the tree, preventing them from entering the pine tree and spreading blue stain mold. Aggressively searching out, removing, and destroying the brood in infested trees is the best way to slow the spread of mountain pine beetles. However, it may not protect specific trees. Spraying trees to prevent attack is the most effective way to protect a small number of high-value trees from mountain pine beetles. Carbaryl, permethrin, and bifenthrin are registered in the United States for use in the prevention of pine beetle infestations. Carbaryl is considered by the EPA to likely be carcinogenic to humans. It is moderately toxic to wild birds and partially to highly toxic to aquatic organisms. Permethrin is easily metabolized in mammalian livers, so is less dangerous to humans. Birds are also practically not affected by permethrin. Negative effects can be seen in aquatic ecosystems, as well as it being very toxic to beneficial insects. Bifenthrin is moderately dangerous to mammals, including humans. It is slightly more toxic to birds and aquatic ecosystems than permethrin, as well as extremely toxic to beneficial insects. Colorado's forests are densely wooded, making them much more susceptible to bark beetle attack. Current legislation is in place to help with the growing beetle problem. Colorado Senators Mark Udall and Michael Bennet announced that Colorado will receive $30 million of the $40 million being diverted by the U.S. Forest Service to fight the millions of acres of damage caused by the Mountain Pine Beetle in the Rocky Mountain region. Fall and burn is the technique being used in Alberta, where there is hope of limiting the outbreak to Western Canada, preventing its spread to northern Saskatchewan, and further towards eastern Canada, where jack pine may be vulnerable as far east as Nova Scotia. The mountain pine beetle infestation has had a significant impact on many communities, ecosystems, and economies. It is important to know how it happened so that we can better prepare ourselves for future disasters. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.